Glenallachie 12 was named World's Best Single Malt last year, and it costs less than the famous name sitting right beside it on the shelf. That famous name charges you around $100 for a fancier box and less information on the back. This one runs $70 to $80 and tells you everything. 10 bottles separate smart buyers from browsers this year, and one of them is a warning, not a buy. Start with the one that proves the whole point. Glenallachie 12. Speyside. A matte relaunch label that looks quieter than the ornate boxes crowding it on both sides. 46% ABV. Non-chill filtered. Natural color. Matured in Pedro Ximénez, Oloroso, and Virgin Oak casks. 3 different cask types doing 3 different jobs, and the label tells you all of it without being asked. Here is what happens in the glass. Dark sherry arrives first, deep and generous. Dried fruit follows, then a layer of dark chocolate and warm baking spice that actually builds instead of flattening. The finish does not die after 20 seconds the way a lot of mid-tier sherry bombs do. It lingers, and it changes slightly as it fades. That development is what you are paying for. You will typically find it in the $70 to $80 range in the States, and under £50 in the UK. Now compare that to the famous sherry names charging you $100 or more for a fancier box, heavier glass, and less transparency on the back label. The award is not the reason to buy it. The transparency is. The award just confirms that smart buyers already noticed before the rest of the shelf caught up. This bottle also won World's Best Single Malt at the 2025 World Whiskies Awards. That medal is useful for shortlisting. It does not price the bottle for you. The per-ounce math and the back label do that. Here, the math and the label agree. That almost never happens at this price point, and it is worth pausing on. Verdict: buy. This is your benchmark for what a transparent Speyside should cost. But its heritage cousin quietly changed 4 words on its label, and almost nobody caught it. That cousin is Glendronach 12, Highland, the squat sherry bottle you have seen 100 times in 100 different bottle shops. 43% ABV. Pedro Ximénez and Oloroso maturation. Dense, traditional old-school sherry character. Raisin, leather, dried fig, a little dark spice on the back end. This is a whiskey that tastes like it has been doing the same job for generations, and doing it well. It is a heritage benchmark, and the oversupply correction made it easier to find than it has been in years. Core bottles that were disappearing from shelves during the boom years are coming back. You will generally see Glendronach 12 somewhere in the $60 to $70 range now, though tariffs and regional pricing move that around. As recently as a few years ago, some reviewers were placing it under $50 as an outstanding value. The market moved, but not as far as some of the trophy names. Verdict: buy, but buy with your eyes open. Because the spec you remember may not be the spec on the current shelf. Here is the 4-word change most buyers never noticed. Glendronach is owned by Brown-Forman. In 2021, the words non-chill filtered came off the packaging entirely. Fans noticed immediately, and the discussion has not fully settled. The company stated that the change gave them flexibility in their processes to optimize quality, consistency, and stability. What that means in practical terms for the liquid in the current bottle has not been independently confirmed by outside analysis. I am not going to tell you the whiskey got worse. I do not have evidence of that, and neither does anyone posting online with certainty. What I am telling you is this. The reputation says non-chill filtered. The current label does not. That gap between what you remember and what is actually printed today is the central lesson of this entire list. Read the back label, not the reputation. That rule alone is going to save you money more than once before we are done. Which brings me to proof, because proof is where the next trap lives. Glenfarclas 105. Speyside, cask strength sherry, 60% ABV, 120 proof in the American system, big, hot, full of Oloroso richness, bold citrus peel over a thick sherry base, dried fruit, dark toffee, and real heat that takes some water to fully open. It sounds like automatic value. More proof, more whiskey, more intensity, more bang for your dollar. That is exactly what the shelf arrangement wants you to think. Watch the math instead. The 105 carries no age statement, and it sits priced above the age-stated core expressions right beside it. You will commonly find it somewhere in the $90 to $110 range in the States. Higher proof requires a higher per ounce adjustment to compare fairly against standard strength bottles. When you actually work through the cost per adjusted ounce, the headline proof number gets considerably less impressive. Proof without a reason is just a bigger bill. The reason has to come from somewhere other than the number itself. Verdict: buy it if you specifically want cask strength sherry, and you know you enjoy the intensity and the work of diluting it correctly. But do the per ounce comparison first. Do not pay for proof you did not need. Subscribe if you want more of this. Now let me reward that lesson, because the value has been sitting one shelf over the whole time. The Glenfarclas Core range, the age-stated bottles in the classic cardboard tube. Oloroso matured from a family-owned distillery that has been doing the same job for well over a century. Christmas cake, orange peel, a soft, nutty warmth that spreads slowly and stays polite. The finish here is not aggressive. It is comfortable and honest, and it lasts longer than a bottle at this price has any right to last. Forbes specifically named Glenfarclas as offering some of the most compelling consumer prices in the entire core range revival of 2026. That revival is documented and real. During the boom years, attention shifted entirely to limited editions and travel retail exclusives. The core ranges sat ignored. Now they are coming back into focus because buyers finally got tired of paying prestige tax on bottles that could not justify it with liquid. You will typically land the entry-aged Glenfarclas expressions in the $45 to $60 range, depending on which age you choose, and the per-ounce math is dramatically better than the 105 sitting above it on the same shelf. You lose nothing you actually wanted. Verdict: buy. This is where the value actually sits in the Glenfarclas family. The proof was never the point. And here is the pattern, now that you have seen 5 bottles. Every single grab so far tells you its age, its casks, its filtration status, its color. Even the warning bottle, Glendronach, the entire problem was a transparency line that disappeared. Every bottle smart buyers are clearing in 2026 shares one trait the trophy bottles quietly dropped: transparency. The market correction did not just soften prices, it exposed which bottles were selling reasons and which were selling reputation. That distinction reframes the entire shelf you are standing in front of. So let me take you to the aisle you have been skipping, because that is where the next value is hiding. The Blend ISL Compass Box. Art label blends, not single malt, and for years the single malt instinct in most of us walked straight past them without a second look. Compass Box is widely recognized among informed buyers for detailed labeling and a blending philosophy that emphasizes transparency over category prestige. In 2026, premium blends are being judged on flavor, full stop. The stigma is fading fast among people who actually pay attention. Depending on the expression you reach for, you are looking at a range that starts in the 50s and climbs with the fancier bottlings. The entry points here compete directly with single malts that charge more for less information. Verdict: buy. This is the aisle the snobs skip, and the smart money quietly works. Do not dismiss a bottle because the front says blended. The aisle you skip also carries the best peat value of the year. Noble Rebel Smoke Symphony, a flavor-led blended malt from the Loch Lomond Group. 46% ABV, non-chill filtered, natural color, finished in Rioja wine casks. Here is the glass. Bold smoke arrives up front, assertive but not brutal. Then the Rioja finish pulls dark fruit and a faint sweetness in underneath the peat, and the combination stays interesting longer than you expect. It drinks far more seriously than its price suggests. It took double gold and best in class at the 2024 San Francisco World Spirits Competition. It lands around $40 to $50 in the States and roughly £40 in the UK. Use the medal to shortlist. The price justifies itself. Compare that to the Islay singles charging you $60, $70, or $80 for the prestige of the region, name alone. Verdict: buy. This is your value, peat play, and it embarrasses bottles that cost half again as much. Now the region's smart money watches. Campbeltown, Glen Scotia. Coastal, briny, one of only 3 distilleries still producing single malt in the entire region, alongside Springbank and Glengyle. Region prestige is real. Campbeltown carries historical weight that usually attaches a heavy price. The Glen Scotia core does not play that game. The double cask sits around $65, the 10-year-old near $70, the 15-year-old just over $110 on the official US listings. That is genuine regional access at a sane price, and the oversupply window made the core range easier to find. Saltaire on the nose, vanilla, and light coastal grip through the palate, a finish that stays clean and slightly briny. It delivers exactly what the region promises without the scarcity premium most buyers assume is unavoidable. Verdict: buy. Most buyers assume Campbeltown means expensive. This is the region at a price that proves them wrong, which sets up the one you grab the second you see it. Springbank 10, the cult of Campbeltown. 46% alcohol by volume, 60% bourbon cask, and 40% sherry cask maturation. The output is small enough that demand buries supply consistently. Coastal, complex, waxy, in a way that almost nothing at this price range manages. The sherry component adds depth without smothering the lighter maritime character underneath, and the finish carries both threads without either one winning. It is a genuinely complete whiskey that happens to come from one of the smallest serious distilleries in Scotland. Retail on this bottle has historically sat in the $75 range, but the secondary market will cheerfully charge you double or more. The scarcity is real, but it is also regional. Some US markets see restocks periodically. Others almost never see it. If you find it at retail price, buy it without deliberating. If someone is charging flip money, walk away. Glen Scotia or Kilkerran fill the same Campbeltown seat on a normal day. Verdict: hunt. Retail price is a buy. Flip price is a walk. Which brings me to the last pick, and it is not a bottle. It is the habit that saves you the most money this year. The secondary market for rare whiskey softened noticeably against the 2023 and 2024 peaks. More stock reached the secondary market while buyer confidence pulled back and collectors turned selective. The scarcity premium that used to feel automatic started asking to justify itself for the first time. So stop paying it. Stop chasing limited editions in a market that no longer automatically rewards scarcity. The smart 2026 move is buying transparent, age-stated core to drink while the promotions and the availability last. Buy the reason, not the label. Every bottle on this list earns it. None of them are selling you a box or a story or a famous region name without putting the liquid proof right next to it. And here is why the timing matters. This soft market is your real edge, and it will not stay this soft. Oversupply created this window. Warehouses do not stay full forever. Producers are already moderating output, and when availability tightens again, the promotion tags come off first. The buyers moving now are the ones who understood the correction while it was still open. So take the lesson from that Glendronach label back home with you. The front label sells a reputation. The back label tells the truth. Next time you are standing at the shelf, flip the bottle over first. If the back label gives you age, cask, filtration, and color, you have a reason to buy. If it gives you craft language and heritage imagery and nothing else, you have a story. Grab the reason, not the label. This window is open. Use it.